All right, we're up. Sam Short, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, mate. Where are you coming from?
I'm just at home at the moment. Weekend. Just finished morning training. Got a nap in, so just enjoying the weekend.
Where's home, mate? I'm actually in New York. I just told you that a second ago. I'm in New York for the day. My girl's birthday today, 15 years today. So we're going out to New York to visit. But where are you from?
From Brisbane. I live on the north side, in a
Mm-hmm.
suburb. I'm not gonna say suburb, but in the bush. Very
In
out.
the
It takes me
bush.
a while to get the training, like 40 minutes. So,
Oh
yeah, I live
wow,
very out there.
wow. Now, hey, congrats on the past week you had at the Aussie trials, mate. You really kind of stamped your name as a worldwide figure in distance swimming right now, mate. Congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a big goal of mine to be considered in the international distance scene. So to finally start hearing my name thrown around in that kind of circle is hard work's paying off.
Give us a recap of the event. So go from kind of the first one to the last one.
Yeah, so day one I had 400 free, and I've never raced made the 400 free day one. I raced at commies, but got to get top two at Australian trials, and it was me and Elijah. I went 3:47 in the morning, and then 3:43 at night. Thought I was going to go a little bit faster, but at the end of the day, got the win, got the ticket to Japan. So I was really happy with that, and it's probably my first really high pressure situation. Really felt the pressure on that one, and then I didn't do the 200 day two, pulled out because I really wanted to focus on my 8 and 15 because I really believed I could post some good times. And day three at 800, and that was probably my best one. I went 740.3,
Mm,
and just pipped Thorpe's all comers record, not his PB, just his all comers record,
yeah.
um, which I kind of was a target of mine off the back of nationals. And then 2 days later, I did the 1500, went 14:46, and got a little PB in that, which I was very happy with.
Wow. Congrats, mate. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that 800 was really a massive standout. Do you feel comfortable in that kind of range, the 800? Why was that one particularly good?
Yeah, well, I feel I can kind of just hit that rhythm and just last through the 800 fairly comfortably. Like I can always go out in a really comfy like 152, 153, and maintain that for a while. But like 1500, I really start to feel it that last 400. But the 800, I can use my 400 speed, and the 1500 training just kind of brings me home. And I don't know, I don't actually train for the 800. I train for the 400 and the 1500 with a bit of 200 speed work as well. And the 800 just kind of sits in the middle, and it's kind of a little Goldilocks zone.
So what do you mean by that? Like in terms of that's a massive range, the 400 to the 1500. So what specifically would make you think that you train for those events particularly?
Yeah, well, my coach Damo, he's got me doing like Monday we do a 400 specific session. So typically it's like a bucket load of hundreds on like 130, just holding 56 like zeros, as long as you can or mainly hitting the rate. And I have a fairly high rate. I hold like 43, 42. And then Thursday we have a really specific long 1500 pace set, and then Saturday I kind of go into my 200 pace stuff, and then maybe towards closer to competitions, we might have 800 pace in this 1500 sessions. But I feel like when you train for a 1500, to train it properly, you just kind of you build it like the whole way through really, and towards the back end of those sets, you're pretty much hitting 800 and 400 pace anyway. So.
Yeah. What about in terms of race pace? What's the biggest distances in practice you would cover? Do you do 1500s for time, or do you chop it up into shorter distances?
Yeah, that's something me and Damo have been kind of working on. So um, I've done more aerobic this preparation than I've ever done before. And for my 1500 training specifically, we've been going with the 500-meter blocks. So I've been training myself to be able to hold that rate for in training and time 500 meters. Like, I feel anyone can hold 1500 pace for 100s. You know, that's not hard. And a lot of people do that. And I was dying in my races doing that. So I was like, damn, we need to, let's make it longer. Let's make it harder. So I've been going to those 500 distances, those 6 kilometer sets, main sets, and just training the body to last and be able to hold that speed under fatigue. And I've gone down some pretty impressive broken 1500s doing that, like with a 500 block in there. So it makes your confidence go through the roof.
Speaking of that, I've done a little bit of homework on you, and the people that I talk to say that you're not shy with confidence in the fact that you're a believer in yourself, which is good, right? Like you certainly need that, and you want that in a swim star. You want to have that confidence. But what gives you the confidence you've got?
Yeah, well, I kind of pride myself on being a really hard worker. I think anyone that knows me knows I train really hard. Like, I don't like to lose in training, and I always want to be pushed to like my limit. And I think I am confident. I'll definitely admit I am very confident, but I kind of get that confidence from the hard work. Like when I race, I realize I've done way harder stuff in training. I probably won't feel as bad as I did in training, and I just feel really confident off the back of that sort of stuff. And yeah, that's just me. I get my confidence from the work I've put in the bank.
I don't get the feeling that your competitors aren't a lot like you either, but like it seems like the guys around the world, let me read some names here, I guess, right now. So you got guys like Poltrineri, Bobby Fink, Florian Wellbrock, Romanchuk. I mean, there's some boys that can go, and it seems to me like if I was to analyze their training and their work ethic, they'd probably feel the same way about themselves. So like in the international scene, it seems like there's a bunch of boys with some confidence right now in the distance events.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. I'm like the new kid on the block. I'm only 19, and they've got some years on me. I think all of them. But yeah, I love it. I'm so glad to finally be in the mix. I've watched them duke it out year after year in the 1500 and 800, and it's kind of gotten more competitive every single year. And
Right.
that's kind of the reason I love training distance swimming, because I really want to be in those races. I just, like, ever since high school, I've been watching them Worlds, and just Florian, Peltrineri and Romanchuk just duking it out, and Bobby Fink's come on from the Olympics, and I raced Dan Whiffen last year. That was probably my only taste of like a actual match racing in the 1500. I've never really been in that. Like, if you rewatch the race from nationals, there's some really impressive swimmers, but I don't think you compare a 1500 by yourself. It's a completely different ballpark when you've actually got a race on your hands, and that excites me leading into Worlds, that I will potentially and most likely be in that race.
Yeah, I haven't been this excited for a distance event, a distance swimmer in a while, mate. I used to be good mates with some boys that were going pretty well before you were born. Good friends with Grant Hackett, good friends with Ian Thorpe, guys that you mentioned. Kieran Perkins, Dan Kowalski. I mean, we've got a history of distance swimming in Australia. It's hasn't been as strong recently, so it's nice to see kind of the likes of you coming along and picking up the torch again, mate.
Yeah, thank you. I actually watched or listened to a podcast he did with Grant Hackett, like a bit before trials, actually, and he was saying how he like takes pleasure in dominating the field and stuff. Like, that's all he wants to do is just dominate. So, he's probably the guy I look up to the most. Grant Hackett, just watching him swim, and I know he just worked really hard. And I think I've spoken to Kieran once before when I was a bit younger, but they're all absolute beasts and work their butts off to get where they are. But yeah, I've had people say to me, "Oh, it's really awesome seeing Australia coming through with some like more competitive distance swimmers," and it makes me feel really good. Obviously, that's what I want to be, and I wouldn't be here without I've been chasing Jack McLaughlin's times for a little while now, and then he retired. So I'm excited to pick up the reins and hopefully continue to improve.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome stuff. Now a little bit about your background. From what I understand, you come from more of a surf lifesaving background. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do surf lifesaving at Maroochydore, up at the sunny coast, and my whole family's really involved in the surf club. Actually, I'm home alone right now. They're all actually there doing surf stuff right
Ah,
now.
all right.
So I've been doing that my whole life, like nippers from under sixes. I know I've been doing like Lani. Lani was doing surf her whole life as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
have known each other for years and years. So definitely have a surf background, and that's kind of what drove me to want to swim, is because my parents said, if you want to do surf, you have to swim. Like, we're not going to send you out in the surf if you don't know how to swim. So that's
Nice.
kind of what got me into swimming and my competitive nature.
When did you first realize, or maybe people around you realized, you had a talent for the distance side of things?
I've been a really strong racer probably my whole life. Like, I was in the under eights, like sprinting, like working my bum off. But I think when I was 13, I was I wouldn't say late grower, but I didn't grow early like some of those other boys. And I couldn't really match it in like the hundreds and the 200s with them at like 13. And I was like, okay, if I can't match them in that, I'll just keep going up until I can. And so I started racing the 400 and the 800 and the 1500, and I kind of developed, and then I learned to love it, and I really like training for it as well. And I think my body actually is meant to be trained for aerobic. You know, I'm not a fast twitch fiber guy at all. I have to do a lot of reps just to kind of get firing. So I think, yeah, from 13, first age nationals, I realized that, you know, I'm meant to be a distance swimmer.
Yeah. You said you love to work. What's your favorite set? What's your favorite type of work that you get confidence from?
Yeah. I mean, I love the long aerobic sets where you kind of build all the way through. Like, for example, the other day we had 12 400s on like 450, and it was just descend 1 to 3, but your descend gets faster all the way through. And I don't know, I just love building all the way through. I think I finished with sub 4 minutes in DTs. And long course pool. But
Wow.
I really love suiting up in training. We don't suit up often. And I feel like a suit. As soon as I put it on, I feel like a superhuman. like my legs just don't really have to do anything, and I just feel like I'm flying. So I've done like a couple broken 1500 sets where the first 2 rounds unsuited, we go like 500 aerobic, 500 faster, and then like 5 100s pace, and then that 3 times. But the last set round you suit up, and it's just, I just love it. I can throw down some really impressive times at the end of training, and I'm getting better at it too.
Give us some examples on the end of training in a set like that. What would you be holding?
Yeah, probably my best I've done was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like, you start fairly slow. I probably was doing those 500s, probably going like probably started like 540, and then next one I was like 530, and then hundreds always holding 58s, 58 highs, 58 lows with like 36 rate typically in DTs. And then next round, probably my fastest 500 I've gone around was, I think, 510, and then hundreds the same. And then we chuck a suit on, and it's like 530. Then I went 450 with the right rates. Like, the trick is not to like max it, you know, it's like got to be realistic.
Yep.
And then hundreds, and descend down to all the way to 53, I think 53, like 1, I think.
What are you doing those hundreds on?
130 typically. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty nasty, mate. That's awesome.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot better at the last 100 stuff, because I once done a session. I think we had those South Koreans. They were training at the Goldie, and you should see them train, man. Their last hundreds is wild. I trained there, and I was like, wow, I've got to improve on my last 100, because they just
hammer.
They didn't even do a session. It was like they just woke up and went like 50 points. It was just incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Animals. What was I going to say to you? So, I mean, you have a meet like last week. Did you know going into it that this was going to be pretty special for you? Like you know, obviously walking in with confidence, but then to show up and get it done, like you feeling pretty good, like before the meet started.
Yeah, I was feeling really good. Like I was extremely confident, as you said, and like I said earlier, I was backed by my work, and my coach said, you know, even how you feel on the day, you've trained so well, and you can go out there and
Right.
do it. And I raced at Gold Coast, and I wasn't even expecting to swim well, and I swam, you know, like a 3:42 and a 7:42. So I knew I was like, I can be faster than that. Wasn't
Wow.
faster than 400, but I knew I could at least be faster than that. Um, Even if I wasn't feeling the best, like body wise. And yeah, and I love to race. I'm always faster when I race someone, and you know, racing Elijah through the week was, you know, awesome.
What's an ideal taper for you? You know, for me, it was like if I could get 6 weeks of progressive rest in, I felt pretty good about myself. What's it for you?
Um, I typically keep my volume very high. Well, not very high, high for me.
Yep.
So I wouldn't really drop below like a 6 kilometer session, really, but the quality and like the intensity of the session would decrease. So I think it'd go from like over 3 kilometers of 1500 race pace to maybe the week before I race probably will only be a 1500 meter broken.
Mm,
Um, but I do keep my volume up kind of high because I learned, because I made my first team last year leading into Worlds, I kind of tapered too much and I didn't swim very well. And then leading into commies, we kept my volume up higher and I got PBs. So that's kind of my philosophy leading into my competitions at the moment, and just keeping the
right.
volume high and making the body feel good. I don't mind swimming with a bit of tension in the body, you know. I kind of like feeling a little bit sore because I don't know, I just do.
Yeah. So I guess the opposite of that is like when you've got too much rest, it just feels super weird. You lose the power. What is it like? What goes for you? Is it the endurance? Is it the power in your stroke? What is it?
Probably the power and, like, you know, the kind of connection in the, like, the
Yeah.
rhythm. Like if I feel
Yeah.
too loose, I kind of just feel a bit like a spaghetti noodle, you know.
Right.
I like feeling like I'm actually doing something, feeling strong.
Mm.
Once I feel strong, I can probably do anything, you know.
And so, what's your average week look like then? The majority of your weeks would be how many workouts a week? How often you in the pool? How long you in the pool for? Are you in the gym? Things like that.
Yeah, I'm doing 3 gym sessions at the moment, to work on my turns because my turns were horrible last year. So that's probably the biggest improvement I've made is in the gym. 3 gym sessions: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Typically swim, probably like in the bulk period of the
Yeah.
season, 10 sessions. Swim sessions. Wednesday's like a pretty good recovery day, and then leading into comps, I'll like 5 6 weeks out. I'll swim Sunday as well. Do like a 2K float through. Um,
Right.
yeah, so I swim 10 sessions and then a Sunday swim as well, which is just by myself, just floating through. And then Fridays usually I have to go into uni as well on Fridays, so Fridays can be a bit long.
Oh, really? So you're studying as well?
Yeah, law. I just had my last exam yesterday, so I'm feeling really relieved.
Wow. Geez. So you're studying law. Like, what does that entail? I know that it's not like in America where you've got full support necessarily of, you know, you're going to college and you're a student athlete type thing. Is it a little bit different for you? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I'm doing very part time at the moment, only 2 subjects, so it's very manageable. And I, I only like 2 subjects. I can go in only once a week to my tutorials, and
Right.
it wasn't too bad. I'm only fairly new to it. Like I graduated 2021, so I've only been doing uni for, this is my 3rd semester, so very new to it. But hopefully I pass and I keep moving through the course.
What's the timeline on that if you're doing it part time like that? Is it like a 6-year process?
It'll be ages. It'll be a long time. Yeah, probably longer than that, to be honest, because I think next year, maybe Olympic year, I might only do 1 subject for the first semester to
Mm.
try and give myself the best chance. Um, but I kind of say to myself, I'll be swimming for at least another, what, hopefully till after 2028 and potentially to 2032. So, because I'll be 28 then, and I don't really see a point in finishing the degree before I finish swimming, you know. So I think
Yeah.
it'll sync up nicely if it all goes to plan.
Mate, that's kind of daunting, like it's daunting for anyone to think that far ahead for sure. But like with the amount of work that you do and the amount of yards that you do, does it feel daunting at times to be a distance swimmer and have to know that you've got to get that amount of work in each day?
I don't really feel daunted by it. I mean, I'm only 19, so I haven't been grinding as long as some of those other boys that are
Right,
25. So,
right.
and I would say I haven't really pushed the ceiling of how far you can go. Like you hear stories
Mm,
of some of the distance boys back in the day hitting 100 plus kilometers a week, like
mm-hmm.
above, and I'm nowhere near that at the moment. So I definitely have room to go, and I'm actually really enjoying it at the moment. So I'm not really daunted by it, and
Yeah.
just making my second world championship team, all I can really feel is excitement. So
Mm.
looking to the future kind of motivates me even more.
What about the other side of it? At the Olympics, you have the pool and the open water. You have gold medals up for grabs in the open water as well. With your background and stuff, have you considered doing that as well?
Yeah, I've considered it. I think Australia have a bit of a different rule. I think most countries now you can do if you win the 1500 at your trials, you can swim the 10K or something like that. But
Right.
Australia's
Hmm.
got that rule, and I don't really want to go overseas and do a qualifying event like a month before our trials. I think that'd throw out my kind of preparation at the moment. But definitely in the future, I really want to dip my toe in a bit of open water.
Yeah, a couple of those boys that you're competing against certainly do that, right? Walbrock does that.
Paltrinieri, yeah, very
Yeah,
good at it too.
Peltrineri. Yeah, yeah, really good at it. Yeah, I mean, where would you feel comfortable? I think. What are the distances that are up for grabs in the open water?
At the Olympics, I think it's just the 10K, but at the
Okay.
Worlds, there's the 10K, the 5K, and the relay. I think 4 by
Okay. Right.
1500.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think you'd feel more comfortable in the 5 or the 10?
I mean, at the moment, probably the 5.
Yeah.
10 kilometers is. I mean, I can definitely do it. I can definitely make 10 kilometers fairly easily, but the
Yeah.
pace that those boys are swimming at, it can really
Yeah.
sap your energy at the back of that 10K. So probably at the moment 5, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Wow, mate. Impressive stuff. How's the response been from the times that you posted? I mean, especially creeping up on a Thorpe record. Anytime you get that close to an Ian Thorpe record, a little bit of hysteria back home, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, my family just kind of is that's all the same. I have a really good home life, very stable. But and so is my coach. Damien and Rackley hasn't really changed. Sometimes he says, if I look like I'm a bit tired, he's like, you got to get in the water, you got a target on your back now,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, basically, it's kind of all the same. Our goals have shifted. We realised what we can do and how fast we can go. So it hasn't really been too crazy. I haven't seen my mates yet. I'm seeing them next week, but I'm sure they'll be all the same as well. I kind of, when I'm out of the pool, I switch off pretty much, just go back to a normal 19-year-old guy. So
Right.
yeah, at the moment it's pretty good, but I'm looking forward to heading into staging with Team Australia and getting amongst the vibe leading into Worlds.
Yeah, it'd be good to have some of those boys around you. In terms of that, is there anybody that can hang with you in practice? Like, how do you judge how well you're doing? Is it just based off your own, times from the past?
Yeah, I'll definitely compare my time from the past. In training at the moment, I'm kind of been by myself this prep.
Right.
I used to train with Tommy Neal at Rackley, but he's kind of shifted towards the lower. Well, he's kind of targeting that 200, and he's doing the 200 IM now as well. So
Mm.
that's him. So I'm kind of been grinding by myself, but they're definitely our boys in Australia. We had that event camp, and some of those boys are really good trainers. So that was really good to push myself. And Damo's always finding that new ways to push me. And um, we recently picked up a boy from Tassie. Noah, his name's Noah, and really tough kid from Tassie.
Mm.
So Damo's been
Yeah.
throwing him in the deep end with me, just grinding away. Yeah, and then I'm sure. Well, I mean, if I train with Elijah, that'd definitely be sick as well. So maybe in
Yeah.
stadium do some pace sets with him. But yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. What about your pacing for your 15? How do you go about breaking that thing up to compete?
yeah. Well, I've only really done one 1500 where I've actually been in a match race, but I kind of split it up in a way. I kind of use my early speed for like that first 200, trying to get out in the really strong time, like typically like around the 153 probably. And then I kind of settle into a rhythm for the first 500 and just get through that 500. Don't switch off because you can make the mistake of falling asleep. You know, Hawke always used to say, you don't fall asleep in that middle 500 because that'll cost you.
Yeah.
So you're trying to stay awake, and then you got to get to the 1,000, and then typically it's harder. It's easier said than done. But how you're feeling, got to try and build those last 500 because in a race situation, those boys are coming home in like 54, 55 seconds. So
Yeah.
it's you got to make sure you got to have that kick at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're next to Bobby Fink, that kid can drop a last 50.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I watched that actually live. The Olympics like 25-2 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy. How old were you then? You were about what, 16 at the Olympics?
17. Yeah, just missed the
17.
Olympic team in 2021. I went 14:57 at trials, and the qual time was like 14:56 or something. So,
Oh wow,
yeah, watch that from home.
that's tough. That's a tough one to swallow. But I guess what was the positive that came out of that for you sitting at home watching it?
Yeah, well, I kind of obviously I was like a bit angry that I wasn't there,
Right.
but it made me excited and like kind of motivated me. You know, I was like went into last year saying, oh, yeah, I'm gonna try and swim in a way where they wish they did pick me. You know,
Yeah.
that was kind of my mindset going into it. And, you know, I was really angry they didn't get picked, and you know, I've been progressing fairly well off the back of that, and I was really happy. It was the first time I've ever broken 15 minutes that race. 14:57 at 17 years old, so it was like kind of bittersweet. But definitely, that was probably one of my harder moments. Like just missing the team. I like the rest of the year, I kind of just focused on finishing school and only swam every now and then, really. So kind of got my head back together and then really attacked 2022. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then you went to the Com Games too, which is a big event, and did really well there. What's it like to swim in a Commonwealth Games? Like a lot of Americans don't fully understand how big the Commonwealth Games actually is for Australia. You know?
yeah, it's huge. I mean, it gets. I didn't realize how much hype there was around it till, you know, I was actually the lead up to it. I was really, you know, it was really exciting, and it was in Birmingham, so the stand was packed with all the English, and there was a couple of English in our races, and now it was so loud. It was awesome, and it was probably the first time I've actually felt really good at an international competition. And you know, came second in the 400, was in a great race in that, and then my 1500 I put together really well. Went like sub 1450 at like 18 years old, which was I really wanted to target the time more than the gold medal. I ended up getting, but you know, I'll take the gold medal as well. But yeah, 14:48, that was my target pretty much leading into it at 18. So
that's awesome, mate. Awesome. Yeah. What about the Whiffen twins? They got themselves a YouTube channel. Do you get on there and watch those boys at all?
Oh, I've seen like a clip or two from them. I mean, they kind of show up on my feed every now and then because he's swimming all the time, racing, and he's posted some really good times this year. So yeah, I've seen a couple of their things on YouTube. And
What's
their podcast. Yeah, I saw a bit of their podcast on there as well.
Yeah. Did a little podcast with them. Yeah, trying to get as many the distance boys on here as I can, you know. And I mean, it seems like it's just there's some personalities. It just seems like it's going to be a cracking race at Worlds, especially that 1500. I mean, there's a bunch of guys there now that like they're all contenders, which is fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the sport kind of needs, you know. You don't really want to watch a guy out in front by himself, enjoying it, like just going by himself. And you know, a race is, I think, what everyone trains for. You know, get in the race situation and see what you can do. And me as, you know, the young new kid on the block, that's all. I'm stoked to be in the race, hopefully, and you know, put myself in a situation where I can be contending with the guys I was watching on TV like 4 years ago. So it's really exciting for me. I know Dan's pretty new as well. I race him at commies. I think he might have just missed the final last year at Worlds, but hopefully me and him will be in that final and, you know, shaking up with some of the veterans.
Yeah. What about personally, like if there was a mark that you could get past in the 4, 8 or 15, what would be the mark where you'd feel like, you know, like you've done something really special.
Yeah, well, obviously I want personal best, but I really just want to be swim well enough to like say, oh, if anyone's going to beat me, they got to swim really well, like
Mm,
they've got to earn it. That's kind of my mindset going into those tough situations. Like if someone's going to beat me, I'm going to make sure they have to swim a really good race,
right.
and obviously, I'd love to go PBs like a 341. That'd be awesome. Like sub 740, which is definitely possible, and obviously sub 1440, which I think would be possible as well with the race. So they're kind of my targets leading into World Championships.
When do you think we're going to see guys on a regular basis getting under 340? Like, why is that mark so special?
It's just, Thorpe went 340 like 5 times or something crazy. So
Right,
340 low, and he swam it
right.
different like every time. I think you just got to have speed as well and fitness. It's kind of like that sweet spot. Like I think when I went in the 342, I was out in 150, back in 152, like
Mm,
2 or something. So you just got to be able to really. I think you just need you need the front end and the back end. It's like kind of it's tough, and I think only Thorpe really mastered it. Obviously Sun Yang went 340 as well, and Paul beat him in, but Thorpe swam it like repeatedly.
yeah, yeah.
And I think his fastest time he went out in was like 148.8 or something crazy, which I don't think anyone else has done. So I think until you see people going out in those 149 lows, it won't really be touched. I know Elijah went out in 149 at Worlds when he went his 341 too, so he's on the right track as well.
Yeah, mate. I think I was on pool deck for every one of those swims too, watching Thorpe. I was very blessed to be able to be in the Ian Thorpe era, and watched him from 13 all the way through his career. Like I was right there with him, and we traveled the world together. So I probably saw a lot of those swims, standing on the deck watching him. So I got an appreciation for how good he was. And a lot of people who don't really understand how good Ian Thorpe was at the time, we were in camp for Sydney 2000, and we're down in the pool, the Melbourne pool. We're actually doing our camp down there, where you guys raced this past week. Yeah, in the the training pool, and I saw Thorpe get up in just a pair of DTs and go 146 in practice, like just off the block.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
that's how good he was.
Yeah, ridiculous.
This is in the year 2000. We're talking 23 years ago. You just like get up any day of the week, 146 in practice.
Yeah, I'd like to see anyone in Australia do that in DTs. I don't think you'd see anyone in Australia go 146 in DTs at the moment. So,
Yeah.
it's absolutely phenomenal. Like 144.0 went 23 years ago, like 3 years before I was born. So
Yeah.
just crazy how he set those marks so long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a beast. Like he did the things in practice that he needed to do, which I guess gave him the confidence to be able to stand behind the block. But I tell you what, like eating pressure, I've never seen anybody eat pressure the way Ian Thorpe used to eat pressure. He would just sit there and take it all in, and the expectations were just so massive on him. He had the weight of the world, the whole country was on his shoulders, and he just took it all in. So it's remarkable when you see someone that good, but they're good in all areas. Like they're not just good in this one area in the pool. He was good everywhere. Like he was kind of like the top of his game at every aspect of being the best athlete that he could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what everyone aspires to be, right? Like, I don't think he had a bad side to him, and he was just the definition of an elite athlete through and through. And it's awesome to rewatch some of his stuff. Like, I didn't get to see any of it live, but yeah, I mean, I've always looked up to him. I thought what he did for the sport is awesome, and he's probably definitely the greatest male swimmer, or if not athlete, Australia has ever produced.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely crazy. And like every time in training, actually, when we're doing something crazy and Damo sets some really crazy target at the end of a session, or like a really hard set, and everyone's like, oh, like what the hell, like, is that even possible? And then he's like, oh, Thorpe would do it. Like, Thorpe would do it. Damo, I think, talked to Doug Frost, I think his coach.
Doug Frost, yeah.
His old coach was called, and I know he was a very tough coach as well. So, yeah. So, and if you can't do anything in training, just think Thorpe would probably do it and nail it. So.
That's how he gets under your skin, is it? He throws Thorpe in there.
Yeah, like I think I've done something crazy, and Damo's like, yeah, Thorpe would probably go 50 point. So you're not that good.
I love it. I love it. He knows how to get in the mind of the future champ. Well, listen, it'll be pretty special to take down one of Thorpe's records like that, and I hope you get there, mate. Like I said, a lot of talk about how good you are, the potential you have. A lot of people very excited about your future. So I wanted to get you on now, chat with you before it blew up, mate, and you got too famous for me. You won't talk to me. So good luck with everything, hey?
Yeah, thank you. It means a lot. I'll definitely take all that confidence and, try and produce it in the pool. Yeah,
well, that's it, mate. Every indicator that your training's given you, just take that behind the block with you, mate, and use it. That's what I saw the greats do. That's what I watched. I watched Grant Hackett multiple times in practice, lay it out, and then he would stand behind the block, knowing that no one had outworked him. And that's kind of the attitude that you've got now, and so use that, mate. The greats have used it before you, and you'll do well with that attitude, all right?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thank you.
All right, mate. Good luck. I'll be cheering for you in a few weeks, all right?
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.